best of our city that money can't buy. Gifted public servants, artists, cultural figures, heads of nonprofits, and industry. These are the people that New Yorkers look to for wisdom, for guidance, and their creativity, their drive, their commitment is what sets our city apart. And I've entrusted them with a mighty responsibility to lead these committees and to provide the policy and hiring recommendations that our transition team will turn to as we prepare to begin governing on January 1st. Over 70,000 New Yorkers have applied from every single zip code to join our administration. And as we set a new standard of drive and dedication and a commitment to dignity from City Hall, those overseeing these committees will help lead this work. As I said to them, New Yorkers have placed a great deal of hope and expectation in this new course that they have elected us to chart. It is a hope that City Hall can deliver results that make material, tangible changes in the lives of working people across these 5 boroughs. And standing in that room, I felt the same thing from those leaders that I feel when I think about the years to come. Excitement. Excitement at the potential to transform our city. Excitement to prove that we can once again look towards government with the anticipation and expectation of success rather than the fear of failure. And excitement to make it easier for working people to afford to live a dignified life here in New York City. We stand here with a remarkable opportunity to create a better New York. The kind of opportunity that arrives, if we're lucky, once in a generation. And I could not ask for a better team to set that foundation. New Yorkers have given us a mandate to deliver the change that has so often been denied in this city, a change to make this a city that each and every person can afford. And we will now seize that opportunity with both hands to create a transition that will be defined by the same thing as our administration: excellence. Thank you very much, and with that, I would like to introduce Anne-Marie Gray.
Thank you so much, Mayor-elect Mamdani. My name is Anne-Marie Gray. I'm the Executive Director of Open New York. I'm truly honored to be here today. Your campaign has given me and so many New Yorkers tremendous hope and renewed optimism. Bringing down the cost of living, especially the soaring cost of rent, for working New Yorkers has been the core of your campaign and has been the heart of my career in housing, both inside and outside of government. I've worked for public housing authorities, for economic development agencies. I've served in City Hall across 2 administrations, working in the trenches on everything from the Gowanus and Soho rezonings to the origins of CityBS for housing opportunity. Today, I lead Open New York, a grassroots advocacy group focused on building more homes to lower costs and give tenants more power and options across the city and state. I joined this committee because Zohran is committed to the all-of-the-above approach to the housing crisis that we know New York City needs, one that protects current tenants while also building the homes future families need. I joined because I also know from experience that success comes not only from having a compelling vision, it also requires being very serious about effective governance and what it really takes to make bold ideas happen. New Yorkers deserve a city where everyone can afford and to find a home and a future. I look forward to helping build city government capable of delivering on such an ambitious, hopeful, and positive vision for the city. And with that, I introduce Atiba Edwards from the Brooklyn Children's Museum.
Good afternoon. New York has shaped me into who I am today via opportunities. I'm an immigrant from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, graduated from Philippa Schuyler and Bronx Science and the University of Michigan. And it's taught me very much that I right now lead the Brooklyn Children's Museum, a third space that provides opportunities for families and children to learn through playful learning, celebrate vibrancy in the vibrant communities, and also understand and learn cultural competency. I had an opportunity to join this committee, and I knew firsthand what the arts and culture can do as it relates to developing pride and really key 21st century skills. I stand before you as evidence of that. I'm really excited to think about New York retaining its title as the arts and culture capital of the world. When I was invited, I felt a sense of purpose, one that this administration represents more than a dream. It's about an unwavering belief about what New York can accomplish and what every New Yorker deserves. With a renewed set of priorities, we have a chance to create something extraordinary, truly a new era. This administration is setting out to prove that when we lead with courage and conviction, we do not just chase dreams, we redefine what is possible. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. Thank you for your time, and I'm excited to bring next to the stage Tara Gardner.
Good afternoon. I'm Tara Gardner, and I proudly serve as the Executive Director of the Daycare Council of New York. In addition to representing nearly 300 center-based programs across the 5 boroughs, in partnership with 3 other nonprofit organizations, we deliver the New York City Child Care Resource and Referral Consortium, supporting thousands of home-based business owners and educators, and connecting thousands of families across the city to the child care settings of their choice each year. I'm honored to represent the child care and early childhood education sector on the Youth and Education Committee, and to work with colleagues toward a universal child care plan that ensures every child and family has access to high-quality, affordable early education and a workforce that can afford to continue to work and live in this city. New York City's parents rely on a workforce of highly trained, dedicated, and passionate teachers, directors, and professionals.
And people who cannot catch the sport.
In centers and home-based programs, yet these professionals remain underpaid and undervalued. Many centers struggle to keep classrooms open as educators leave for better-paying jobs, and home-based educators often earn barely enough to sustain their small businesses. Mayor-elect Mamdani's commitment to affordable universal childcare opens renewed hope, and I look forward to helping to ensure that his vision and its investments supports families and children, guarantees a stable and flexible, multifaceted system, and affirms and respects the workforce that makes it all possible. And now I'm happy to introduce Mike Flynn, representing the Transportation, Climate, and Infrastructure Committee.
Thank you so much, Tara. It's an honor to be here today representing the Committee on Transportation, Climate, and Infrastructure, whose members represent the full breadth of professional backgrounds and perspectives on these issues. I should start by noting that my involvement is in a personal capacity as someone who has served over 2 decades in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors of the industry, and my views represent my own. My entire career as an urban planner here in New York and across North America has been focused on making our transportation and infrastructure system safer and more equitable, sustainable, and resilient, while helping government work more effectively and efficiently to deliver results. Improving the day-to-day lives of New Yorkers is personal to me as the grandson of immigrants and the son of a New York City public school teacher and a former delivery biker and taxi driver. Reliable and affordable transportation and smart, well-maintained infrastructure play a critical role in making this a city in which all New Yorkers can not only survive, but thrive. Whether it's getting to work or picking up our kids from daycare on time, connecting to social and health services, or most importantly, avoiding lives lost to traffic crashes, extreme heat, and flooding. Big ideas like fast and free buses will also have a profound impact on the affordability and livability of the city we call home, which is what excites me so much about Mayor-elect Mamdani's vision. Next, I'd like to introduce Professor Derek Hamilton of the New School, representing the Workforce Development and Economic Development Committee.
Good afternoon. I am Professor Derek Hamilton of Economics and Urban Policy from the New School, the founding director of the Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy. And this year I have the good fortune to be a Radcliffe Institute Fellow at Harvard, pursuing a project bringing about bold new ideas. And very proud to be the chief economist of AFL-CIO, the Labor Federation. I'm a proud New Yorker, born and raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, New York. And I'm also very proud to be on this mayor-elect's transition team looking at economic and workforce development. I joined this committee because the mayor-elect's strong commitment to the humanity, productivity, and the dignity of all New Yorkers. And likewise, his commitment to a workforce and economic development agenda to match those commitments. This election was won with clarity. New Yorkers chose Mayor-elect Mamdani's governing philosophy that recognizes people as the true infrastructure of a thriving society. by investing in our human capacity, in our democratic institutions, and the shared well-being of all our communities. So onward as we continue the unfinished work of building an inclusive economy and a multiracial democracy for our great city. Now I have the privilege of introducing the final speaker, Bhairavi Desai of the New York Taxi Worker Alliance and the Mayor-elect's Committee on Worker Justice. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Bhairavi Desai, and I'm the Executive Director of the New York Taxi Workers Alliance, a proud union of over 28,000 members. For the first time in my lifetime, since I've been organizing drivers since 1996, I have hope. I have hope that the New York we love will love its workers in return. Because New York City has elected a mayor who stands for the working class. When thousands of drivers were drowning in debt, abandoned by the very political system that created their suffering, our brother, Zohran Mamdani, served our movement for worker justice by spending 45 days with us camped outside City Hall, including 15 days on hunger strike. Our union has won over $475 million in debt forgiveness for taxi drivers, recovered over $400 million in wage theft for Uber and Lyft drivers, and secured countless raises and rights. New York City drivers collectively serve close to 1 million people every single day. But their pathway to a stable middle-class life remains elusive, just as it does for so many workers in our city. 1/3 of the families who live in city shelters have at least one family member with a full-time job. Too many New Yorkers work tiring, back-breaking jobs 6 to 7 days a week, and they still have to worry about tomorrow's meal and next month's rent. In a city with tourism, service, and hospitality industries worth billions, the working class, which is largely people of color and immigrant, do the work that allows rest and leisure. That labor, that dedication to excellence for our city should be treated with respect. It is my honor to serve on Mayor-elect Mamdani's Worker Justice Committee and help fulfill his vision of the New York that we hunger strikers dreamed of. A New York that is affordable, a New York that is compassionate, and a New York that is dignified for working people and poor people, including the 180,000 Uber, Lyft, yellow cab, and livery drivers that my union is proud to fight for. To my brother, our mayor-elect, drivers know all too well how to navigate through the darkness of a tunnel. Under your leadership, we are ready to drive into the light. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with on-topic questions, and then the other speakers are available to take questions as well. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Mayor-elect, how are you doing?
How's it going?
Good.
Sorry, I heard Jeff, not Joe. Took me a moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too many Joes with us.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
All right.
I had a question just about sort of the structure and how it worked. 400 people is a lot of people.
Mhm.
So can you just explain a little bit how ideas sort of get worked up the chain and like how that's going to be organized a little bit?
Absolutely. We have a little over 400 New Yorkers who will be grouped into 17 different committees. These committees will be led by our 4 incredible co-chairs that we have. Lena Khan, Mel Hartzog, Grace Bonilla, Maria Torres Springer. And these committees will be tasked with not only making personnel recommendations, but policy recommendations, and also providing their expertise with the metrics and the way in which we even assess the personnel questions that are being put in front of us. And what I mean by that is we have more than 70,000 applications that have come in through this portal. And we want to make sure that these New Yorkers who have so often been at the heart of when government has worked and also have seen it when government has failed, they can inform how we're looking to form our next government. And Their recommendations, their analysis, their discussion will be filtered through the co-chairs into the discussions that we take in making the decisions of who we hire and how we create the City Hall.
Just a quick follow-up. You included, a lot of people, which I think I know the answer to this, but I would like to hear you talk about it, who wouldn't necessarily count as your allies, like Redney and some other folks who are not in your coalition. Can you just explain why?
It is important to build a city for every single person who calls these 5 boroughs their home. And we are looking forward to not only reflect the city that we're looking to serve in the committees that we put together, but also in engaging with the difficult questions around how we serve that city internally instead of preparing as if there is no debate to be had externally.
All right, we'll go right here tonight.
How's it going?
Can you talk specifically?
I think we're going to say goodbye to these easels. You all just want to take a moment for your last looks. Never be seen again. Yeah.
She's welcome to respond to the two, but your President Anne-Marie on housing.
Yes.
Is it reasonable to interpret this as a sign that you're looking pretty strongly at sort of upzoning type policies, really a focus on pro-development policies? Anything you want to say about neighborhoods you're looking at? Any initial thoughts?
I can tell you that over the course of the campaign, we've spoken about the importance of not only freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, but also building an incredible amount of new housing supply across the 5 boroughs, and doing so by increasing density around mass transit hubs, by also ensuring that the production of affordable housing is one that is taking place all over this city, and by taking on regulatory frameworks that for too long have not allowed us to build that kind of housing. Just recently I had a meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office, and amidst everything that we discussed, one of the topics was also ULURP. And we spoke about how difficult it is to build in this city and how important it is for us to build more housing to make this a city that every New Yorker can afford. Anne-Marie, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, that was perfect. I'm extremely excited about the whole platform, and who knew that ULURP brings people together?
Could you discuss any specific changes to ULURP with the President?
We talked about how difficult it is to understand that alongside costs of materials and labor, there is also a pronounced cost in this city of waiting, and how that is one firmly within our control and one that we want to take on in the next administration.
All right. On topic? Yeah, right here.
Mr. Mayor-elect,
Yes.
welcome back from Washington.
Thank you very much.
Question on the migrant committee, the Justice Migrant Committee. Can you tell us how would that work, and also what are you trying to achieve? Is that going to be looking at funds that you can allocate for legal representation? What is it that you're looking at with that?
I think the most important part of that committee is to be listening to the New Yorkers who've been on the front lines of delivering for immigrants across the city, delivering both in terms of dignity but also in terms of safety. Just as we were leaving, I spoke to one of the members of our transition committee who's representing deliveristas and letting us know of the effect of city policies on their lives, and speaking to someone whose work is primarily that of legal representation of those same immigrant New Yorkers. We want to ensure that every single one of these experiences are at the heart of the decisions we're making on how we deliver for immigrant New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs.
All right, we'll go Annie right here.
Thank you.
Hey, Annie.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well.
I'm wondering if you and Barabee have discussed Waymo's testing in the city, if that's something that will come up, you think, at all during the transition discussions, whether you think Waymo should be in the city upon driving, and curious if Barabee has thoughts on that as well.
We haven't had that conversation as yet, but part of the importance of setting up this transition committee is so that these are the kinds of topics of discussion within each of the 17 committees. I don't know, Barabee, if you want to add anything. She was asking if you wanted to add anything about Waymo.
No,
Okay.
we're still discussing.
All right, yeah, Marcia.
I'm wondering, since 70,000 people have expressed excitement about joining your administration, I'm wondering if you're going to have to expand the size of the city workforce to accommodate some of them, because there's so many people who have union-protected jobs, and I know that you want to bring these new voices and new people into the administration. How are you going to do it?
We're sadly not going to be able to hire every single person who applies, but what is so exciting is that for a long time in New York City we've been told that one of the reasons we have a shortfall of vacancies of about 17,000 people in our workforce is because of a lack of interest. And what we're seeing is that is patently not the case anymore. We have more than 70,000, as you've said, and it's also an applicant pool whose average age is 28 years old. And we have already been looking into this portal to look for specific positions within the team that we're building right now. But these committees and this next stage of the transition will intensify how we're engaging with those applications.
If I could just follow up. So, I mean, I know that you want to bring in these new voices and you want to bring in this new energy. And so is that really an important part of your platform, is to bring these new voices and these new people into city government so that you can affect the change that you want to have?
I think it's a key part, a hunger for change, a hunger for a new kind of politics. That's also, however, a hunger that can be had by those who've served in our politics before. I think about the day when we announced 2 appointments. I announced our first deputy mayor, Dean Foulahan, and I announced my chief of staff, El Bisgard Church. Dean Foulahan has had 47 years of government experience. El Bisgard Church, her experience in government has been that alongside me as my chief of staff in the state assembly. And yet what binds both of them is a belief in the potential of government to actually deliver on the material needs of working people. And that's one thing that stood out for me, is when Dean spoke about his experience, whether it was running OMB or being a first deputy mayor, of a secretary of Ways and Means in the assembly, he spoke about the importance of turning that which people say no to into that which people say how to. And that's what they did with universal pre-K. That's what we have to do with our agenda. Thank you, Commissioner.
Hi, Mayor-elect.
How's it going, Katie?
Good, thanks. One of the
I feel like you're saluting me, but I know you're not.
No, it's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
send the picture out.
Yeah.
One of the issues.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can do
One of the issues with hiring is that it can take months sometimes
Yeah.
for people to get onboarded. I hear complaints from people who apply for jobs and they don't hear for months. What can you do? I mean, at this stage as mayor-elect, and what can you do from January 1st to speed that process up? Because that's something that really has created a lot of issues, especially in agencies like HPD, where they desperately need staff.
It informs the way in which we're hiring for the key positions in our city hall. We are asking applicants how they would speed up these processes. And a lot of this comes back to OMB, but a lot of it still is endemic throughout many city agencies. And I've spoken to New Yorkers myself who've told me that they've applied for a job, they've been told that they've been approved, and then they have to wait for 6 months for their final approval. And New Yorkers cannot afford to wait that long. They will take another job. They can't afford to simply wait on City Hall to finally have them actually do the work they applied for, sometimes even more than a year ago. So that's going to be key in who we hire, how we hire, and then from January 1st in actually implementing those procedural changes.
Just one quick follow-up, sorry.
Yeah.
So one practice that other mayors have done, particularly Mayor Adams, is they take budget lines from agencies for the mayor's office. Famously, the mayor put his ex-girlfriend's agency, Jasmine Ray, some of the budget lines from the Parks Department went on her office. There were budget lines for the Department of Buildings that went to City Hall. Do you plan to take a look at those people who are existing on usually really inflated salaries, but on those budget lines, whether it's in the Department of Buildings, the Department of Parks, and root that out almost immediately?
We're going to do an assessment of the hiring that has taken place. We're not going to hold it against anyone who appointed them and who hired them. What we are going to do is assess them on the basis of the work that they've actually done or the lack thereof.
But will you keep budget lines to the agencies and not borrow them for City Hall?
Yeah, we're looking to actually build a very different City Hall.
Yeah, all right, Liz, right here.
Two questions. One on the 2 new transition committees you mentioned, community organizing and worker justice. I was wondering if you could explain the thinking behind creating those 2 new transition committees and where they might fit into in terms of city agencies that currently exist, or perhaps a new agency you want to create. And then the second question.
Do you mind if we go first question and then we can go to the second one? So I can answer them both in the fullness of the question. Some of what you've asked is what is going to be determined over the course of this transition period. What I will tell you, though, is that these are 2 critical parts of what it means to be a New Yorker today. We have workers across the city who have to deal with conditions that should frankly shame us, and workers who have to deal with wage theft that is often overlooked as if it is not an issue in this city. And to have a committee that is specifically dedicated to worker justice, it acknowledges both the ways in which city government has fallen short in delivering this in the past, and also the opportunities we have to finally do so now. And that's why I was so happy when I looked out onto the room of the more than 400 New Yorkers who are a part of our transition. I could see not only labor leaders, but also rank and file union members who have experienced these kinds of struggles themselves. And community organizing, there has too often been a distance between the intent of what City Hall does and the impact of what it actually has in any given neighborhood across the 5 boroughs. And you will typically find out from the New Yorkers who live there of the ways in which it's fallen short. And we want to use this period as an opportunity where we learn from those lessons, we learn from that history, and we also learn how City Hall could be far more effective in actually executing its vision.
Second question is
Yes.
President Trump mentioned at the press conference on Friday that his daughter Ivanka is friends with the police commissioner, Jessica Tisch. I was wondering if that came up in your conversations with him at all, and whether, is this a way in which the commissioner has sort of the president's daughter's ear to talk about things like sending in the National Guard or federal funding for policing in New York City?
We spoke about the commissioner. I spoke about my decision to retain the commissioner, and we both chatted about the record that she brought forth leading the Department of lowering crime across the 5 boroughs and starting to deliver accountability. And I use that also as an example for my commitment to public safety in the conversation we had, a conversation that also centered on the affordability crisis.
All right, we'll go Jeff right here.
Hey, how's it going, Jeff? Sorry.
I'm wondering, forgive me if you answered this already, but I'm wondering, are there planned meetings with the Adams administration? Has that happened? You've met with the president, but you haven't met with the current mayor yet. And then secondly, I'm wondering, in your meeting with President Trump, have you secured any sort of guarantees that he wants the National Guard or that he won't, take back federal funding from the city?
I made the case for our city. I made the case for delivering on the foremost crisis in New Yorkers' lives, the cost of living crisis. And I was heartened to hear President Trump share in the pool afterwards that he was looking to help this city, not to hurt it. And I'll continue to make the case with the president and with anyone, frankly, across the city, across this country, because New Yorkers deserve leadership that puts those New Yorkers first as opposed to ourselves. And if you can remind me the second question.
So he didn't make any guarantees?
We spoke about these as commitments, and I was thankful for the productive conversation.
And your transition with the Adams administration?
I look forward to sitting down with Mayor Adams. I've been appreciative of the efforts of his staff in the transition thus far. And when we sit down, we'll have a conversation about how to ensure this is a smooth transition that ensures we can deliver from day one.
All right, got time for one or two more. Go Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
Hi, Mayor-elect. In your conversations with the president, when you guys spoke, it seemed like in the press conference, you guys were in a little bit of agreement when it comes to targeting criminals with ICE agents. Is there anything, I just was hoping you could expand upon that. Would you like to see maybe ICE target criminals more here in New York City? And is there anything you're looking at in your new administration that maybe would have the city partner more with the federal government when it comes to maybe amping up or ramping up targeted, I guess, enforcement when it comes to specifically just criminals?
What I said to the president is that New York City sanctuary laws have a provision within them that allows the city to work with the federal government for a specific set of serious crimes. And that has been the law for decades here in New York City. What's giving so many New Yorkers, including myself, a deep amount of concern is that the focus of ICE's immigration efforts have not been on those serious crimes. They have in fact been on children as young as 6 years old being detained and deported. They have been on New Yorkers whose crime seems to just be being here in New York City. And my commitment to public safety is one to keep all New Yorkers safe, and that's where we have a difference of opinion, but that's one that I was also very honest and direct with the president about.
All right, got any sort of concessions though made in terms of like you guys maybe working together more to target just those 170 crimes, and maybe that way they can be less in, going out to Canal Street, for example, and picking up migrants that way?
I spoke about the fact that that is already the law, and that we look forward to following the law, and that the law also here in New York City means that we stand up for immigrants across the 5 boroughs.
All right, one really quick. Yep.
Yeah, last week the news publication, The City, reported that the NYPD had been monitoring a signal chat of court watchers as part of a larger investigation, they said, into counterterrorism. Is this something that your administration will continue? It brought up, the controller said this brings up serious hand-shoe guidelines violations. It's protected speech. People are allowed to go watch court. Is this something your NYPD will continue?
That's deeply troubling to me, and that's something that we're going to look into. I think I was speaking to a Pastor Galbraith in Brooklyn a few months ago, who told me about the experience where he went to visit 26 Federal Plaza with a congregant of his who was faced with a deportation order. And part of the reason that she was able to go home that day was because of the court watchers who were there that day. So this is something that we're going to follow up on. This is in no way something that is a part of our policies.
Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Tisch?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go this way. To the right. Thank you guys.
Sorry.
Dismissal of Tish James's case.
I'm very excited.
A Saturday night house party ends in a deadly shooting on Long Island. Police say a 19-year-old woman was killed and two 20-year-old men were injured at a home on Willow Avenue in Hempstead.